rewrite existence and shatter timelines. You cannot trust him.
I don't care who this guy is. I just lost so much. You thought you could win.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania video for MODOK. Lots of questions about what's going on with him in the trailer, in the movie, because they're using one of the villains from the first movie as MODOK with a huge twist. So we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. This is just the tip of the spear. Kang the Conqueror is going to be the main villain of Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty. They even teased it in the trailer, the new Dynasty, quote-unquote, in text. So they really want to start off Marvel Phase 5 with a banger, just to show how worse he's going to be than Thanos. And Ant-Man 3 is going to be the official beginning of Marvel Phase 5. Everything before this was Marvel Phase 4. But during the trailer, there's a couple of scenes featuring MODOK, one with the mask on, and then one without his mask, with Kang as he escorts Ant-Man and Cassie through one of his portals to a place that seems like it's overlooking the area where he wants Ant-Man to steal the device that will help him complete his time travel platform from the comics, this area here, so that he can control all of reality and win the new Kang Multiverse War. And when he's not wearing the mask, he looks just like comic book MODOK with the massive floating head, the gold helmet around him, the big gem in his forehead, the tiny little arms. And if you haven't read the comics, this is what he looks like. Like, they even did a MODOK TV show starring Patton Oswalt a little while ago. It only ran for one season because it was before Kevin Feige took over all the Marvel shows. So when he took over, he canceled a lot of those Marvel TV shows.
Quite the big day, sir. They're unveiling the statue depicting the other statue being made to commemorate the even bigger statue of you at the center of the city. While you're away, we'll have your Iron Throne cleaned.
That was also sort of like an Elseworld spin on the MODOK character because they treated him more of a comedic sitcom kind of way with Marvel tropes and a bunch of Marvel characters and stuff going on during it. But in the trailer, if you zoom in and enhance on MCU MODOK's face, you can see that it's Darren Cross from the first movie, Corey Stoll's character, Yellow Jacket. Somehow it seems like he's been turned into MODOK, meaning that he didn't die during the first movie. At the end of the first Ant-Man movie, he defeated him by destroying the inside of his Yellow Jacket suit, just causing him to shrink down uncontrollably into the quantum realm, and they treated it in a very WTF comedic kind of way, letting you wonder what might have happened to him. Like, a lot of people just assumed that he had been destroyed here, like he shrunk down into nothingness and been crushed, like he'd literally turned into nothing, when in fact he just crashed into the quantum realm. And based on the way that he's floating around here, with Kang, the others not being guarded the way that Cassie and Ant-Man are, it seems like Kang might be the person who transformed him into MODOK. The big question is why he would do that. Like, why not just repair his Yellow Jacket suit? Maybe the suit had been damaged in the crash, or maybe his body was too badly damaged when he crashed, because the whole idea is that Kang wants to escape the quantum realm. Wouldn't he try to steal the Pym particles if that was possible? Yellow Jacket was able to use his suit because it was also using a form of Pym particles. It sounds like when he crashed in the quantum realm, they might have been used up, like for some reason the Kang wasn't able to continue using his technology to escape. And what they're doing in the movie is they're doing part of MODOK's origin story from the comics, where he asks Kang to turn him into a much better weapon capable of defeating Ant-Man surviving to the quantum realm, where MODOK starts out as a normal human and then gets turned into this giant floating head. And this is just the result of what Kang turned Darren Cross into. In the comics, MODOK is an acronym that stands for Mechanized Organism Designed Only for Killing, but he started out as a normal scientist named George Tarleton, who worked for AIM, which was founded by his father. Like, he was just a normal guy working on the team. AIM performed experiments and tried to turn him into a version of this cybernetic floating head in an attempt to create a supercomputer called MODOK with a C. The C in his name stood for computing. He wasn't meant to be a weapon or anything like that. They just wanted to create a special supercomputer. But George Tarleton used his newfound power to rebel and renamed himself MODOK with a K that stood for the killing, and went on a rampage and started fighting Captain America in his comics. They did a version of his origin story during the Marvel Avengers game where you meet George Tarleton when he's still human, and then later after he's been transformed into MODOK. Small connection to World War Hulk in the MCU. I just did a video about the new World War Hulk movie that they're working on in the background. In the comics, MODOK was a part of the intelligentsia. They did a version of that during She-Hulk. But in the comics, the intelligentsia were the ones responsible for turning Thunderbolt Ross into Red Hulk. They siphoned Hulk's gamma power during the World War Hulk event and gave it to Thunderbolt Ross. Obviously, they're not going to do it exactly this way in the MCU because MODOK is doing something completely different. They've already done AIM with a completely different movie in Iron Man 3, and they've already done the Intelligentsia as more of a comedic joke in She-Hulk. But they are turning the Harrison Ford version of Thunderbolt Ross into Red Hulk in the MCU, and he'll just have a different backstory that will flow with the new characters and story that they don't already. Like Val will be a much bigger part of that in the MCU. What seems like is going on with MODOK during Ant-Man 3, just in the MCU version of the character, is that they're going to say that Darren Cross MODOK at the start of the movie is more of a sub-boss for Kang that he uses against Ant-Man and the others. Like he still wants to get revenge against Ant-Man at the beginning of the movie. You tried to kill me and I swore revenge all these years. So during the first half of the movie, he's trying to do that, but I believe that Marvel wants to keep the MODOK character around long term. Darren Cross will wind up surviving by the end of the movie. He'll also eventually try to help them defeat Kang, and they'll give him more of a redemption kind of arc, but in a comedic way. Like the whole concept of the character, Darren Cross, total dirtbag in the first movie that they clown on for pretty much the entire movie, and that just continues in Quantumania, but by the end he turns that around and tries to help them win. I don't know which future stories they want to use MODOK in, but I think he'll appear in future Marvel movies, Disney Plus series. And they'll just treat him more like an anti-hero, like he still is a genius, and obviously he does have all these huge weapon upgrades, so he is super powerful now. But because they already did AIM during Iron Man 3 as Aldrich Killian's company, and they're probably not going to do Intelligentsia again, they just had to use him during some different villain team-up. I think part of the reason why they wanted to use MODOK in this movie in this way is because Ant-Man movies typically more comedic in tone, and they wanted to do MODOK at some point, and he's kind of a ridiculous character, like that's kind of already baked into the character, like he's a giant floating head. So it just seems more natural to do him in this darker comedic way with a character like Darren Cross. Like he was already somebody that Ant-Man clowned on. When he comes back with all the powerful upgrades, like you'll probably see him in the mask for the first time, like, I finally have you, Ant-Man, and Ant-Man will just continue to clown on him. Like, it'll still be funny in a dark kind of way because he is still so ridiculous. Like, yeah, you're more powerful, but you still look really ridiculous. And when I say he'll probably try to redeem himself by helping Ant-Man defeat Kang by the end of the movie, it's because they probably will not succeed. Like, the whole idea in the trailer is they want to make it seem like Ant-Man is going to sacrifice himself because he can't beat Kang. He even clowns on him like, oh, you thought that you could beat me? That's hilarious. And he replies, I didn't have to win, I just had to make sure that we both lose. Like he's going to try and sacrifice himself and kill Kang in the process, prevent him from completing his time travel platform and escaping. But because I believe this version of Kang is the version of Kang that the Avengers are going to face in Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty, he would have to escape, he would have to survive in some way, which I think means obviously that Ant-Man will survive as well and continue to be a part of Avengers 5 or Avengers 6. If you remember, the last couple of Ant-Man movies have ended with the big twist that somebody seemingly dies or disappears into the quantum realm. Like during Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man gets trapped in the quantum realm for just like a really short time period, but it winds up being 5 years in normal time in the normal world. What might wind up happening during this movie is that he, MODOK, tried to defeat Kang or stop him from escaping, and even though it might seem like they're successful, he winds up escaping, Kang winds up escaping. And it only seems like Ant-Man winds up dying during the movie, but he really just gets trapped for a couple more years until the events of Avengers 5 or Avengers 6, without them completely repeating the plot of Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame, where Ant-Man gets saved by the Rat. Crisp Rat, the rat who saved the entire universe, the MCU. Somebody give that rat a medal. There were so many jokes about that after Avengers Endgame came out, like seriously, it was the rat that saved the MCU. We are supposed to see multiple variants of Kang in future Marvel movies, but they didn't say exactly which movies, which Disney Plus series we'd see variants of Kang in. I think part of the idea is that obviously they'll have Kang during Loki Season 2. It might wind up being a different variant, but it'll still be Jonathan Majors. Like Jonathan Majors is still featured at some point during Loki Season 2. But I don't think that Kang is supposed to be in every single episode, like he's just in some of Loki Season 2. And I think they're saving many different variants of Kang, like the Avengers facing a bunch of different versions on screen until Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty, and during that, you'll see like a bunch of the different versions from the comics. One of the big differences, though, they're treating Marvel Phase 4, Marvel Phase 5, Marvel Phase 6 as the Multiverse saga movies, like those 3 phases in general. So Avengers 5 and Avengers 6 are a little bit of time travel, but mostly multiverse-based movies, with the whole idea of the Kang Multiverse War and variants of Kang from across different universes and different timelines. But the difference in the comics is that when the Avengers usually face Kang, or like Kang War, for instance, the big arc that features a lot of the new Avengers that we'll see in the movies, when they're fighting a bunch of different versions of Kang that team up together, they're Kang from across one single time, like his own timeline. It's not a multiverse-based story. I think we'll see some of this stuff happening during Avengers 5 Kang Dynasty, but all these different versions, instead of being from the same timeline, will just be a bunch of different variants from different universes, either working together or competing with each other to win. And we'll see more Easter eggs for the Council of Kangs, because I think during Ant-Man 3 Quantumania, the whole idea is that this one Kang the Conqueror is ruling everything here. Whereas the whole idea with the Council of Kangs is that you have a bunch of powerful ones trying to work together in equal levels of power. The He Who Remains version of Kang at the end of Loki kind of teased that, like, for a brief period we all work together trying to share technology in the best of each of our universes to try and enhance our own universes. But then eventually a bunch of the dangerous Kang variants tried to start conquering, quote-unquote, different universes, erasing whole timelines, and that's when the Kang Multiverse War 1.0 erupted. And the whole idea now is that we're in like the second version of the timeline, so when we talk about this variant of Kang trying to win the Kang Multiverse War in Ant-Man 3, technically, he's trying to win the second version of the Kang Multiverse War because the timeline has already rebooted. Like he said at the end of the Loki series, wait till you meet some of my variants, and in this movie, we're meeting one of the dangerous variants. Everyone let me know in the comments, though, if MODOK is going to wind up surviving the movie, the Darren Cross MODOK, let me know what you want them to do with him in future Marvel movies, Disney Plus series, like which teams do you want to see him show up on? Everyone click here to learn about the big connection between Shang-Chi's 10 Rings of Power and Kang the Conqueror and Miss Marvel's Bangle, and click here for my full Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania trailer video and Easter eggs. Thank you so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.